Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining on time. We are just going on hybrid mode. I'm here physically at the BMICH, and our speakers have joined online. So please bear with us as we kind of smoothen out the technicalities around this. Have we got the participants on board? Okay, great. Once again, I welcome all of those who have joined just now. You have joined the Startup Ecosystem Development Program, which is taking place under the regional cluster roadshow at this particular time, focusing on the Western cluster. And today, our lineup is a very interesting set of speakers who will take you through their growth stories, entrepreneurs as well as investors. And next, in the next session, the second half, we'll be talking to the representatives of the newly initiated startup hubs, and also a presentation from ICTA in terms of the growth story as an ecosystem. And that's how we have set about in the agenda. So the three speakers who will be sharing their growth stories with you. First will be Dumindu from 4-Axis Solutions, those who brought to the world Colorgram and Drawing Desk. They'll be sharing their growth story. And then we'll hear from Nisha Tillas from Kenai Solutions. And finally, a very interesting story from an investor, Anarkali Munasinghe, who will be sharing her investor journey throughout the past years. So without further ado, may I invite Dumindu to share his story, actually a unique story that a lot of us haven't heard. Even I'm privileged to hear it. I think the entire story, the 40 million journey right now, and I'm excited to hear it as well. Dumindu, over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Sachin, for the introduction. So let me share my screen. Hope you can see my screen.
Can you put it on presenter mode, Dumindu?
I think it's I'm sharing now. Can you see?
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I'll put it the presenter screen. Yeah. Okay.
Great. I think we can see your screen. Sorry, because of the hybrid mode.
Yeah.
That's
Good.
seeing what I can see, but the coordinators have said that they can see it. Great. You can start.
Okay.
The viewers can
Okay.
see it. Right?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dumindu, CEO and co-founder of 4-Axis Solutions. So today I will discuss with you. I will tell you our journeys from the start until now. So basically, we are a creative application development company. We develop products for the mobile app stores. So how it all started? It started with my three colleagues at University of Moratuwa Faculty of IT in 2012. Myself, Kapilan, Anuruddha, and Madhav. Initially, when we started app stores and the mobile industry also going to like getting like ready to blow up. So we also wanted to try out new applications at the time, and so we focused on building creative applications. And all of us wanted to build a company, a startup. Back in the day, I mean, the word startup was also new, and we wanted to build something that is creative, that focus on building something creative, and we wanted to build a product company. Here is our flagship product, Drawing Desk. It's a place for family and friends to engage and express in creative ideas. So this is our first release. Sorry, this is our first release back in 2013 at the university. I can remember this is our Wi-Fi lab in IT faculty. We were third year undergraduates, and this is the exact time that we published to the Apple App Store review. So it was January 2013, and when we released to the public, we got 3,000 downloads on the first day of the release, launch day, and that gave us the spark that we needed to like capitalize on what we have built and I mean release and build it along the way, and we have done it for many years now. And currently, like as Sachin mentioned, and we have about 45 million downloads all over the world. So the growth story, there are quite a number of things as we have been in the app store industry for 8 to 9 years. And in a nutshell, if I compare when we started as a full year 2013, it's the first full year that we run as a company to the 2021 year. So we started in 2013 with 6 employees, including four co-founders. And currently we have about 32 employees. And number of major apps, we released Drawing Desk, and still it's the major app for us. Even though when we started, we released a few other apps and some games, but we quickly understood that we have to shut down them and completely focus on Drawing Desk. So number of apps, major apps, it's still one app. And in terms of downloads in 2013, we got about 315,000 downloads, mainly from US. And currently in 2021 year only, we have accumulated over 10 million downloads. And as a product company, as a mobile app development company, our distribution channel is the app stores. And back in the day, we started with Apple App Store, and currently we have our apps on many app stores around the world, including Google Play, Amazon App Store, Huawei App Gallery, and mainly targeting Chinese users. We have our apps available on the Android markets in China, Huawei App Gallery for China, and Tencent, Vivo, and Oppo as well. So if you compare the revenue numbers, in 2013, we managed to get around $6,000 from the Drawing Desk, and in 2021, we have passed $4 million US dollars in that year only. So I think I didn't mention you that we are a bootstrap company before. So we are completely a bootstrap company. We didn't raise any funding externally yet. We tried a few times, but we didn't go ahead. But so we are completely a bootstrap company. So in terms of prominent markets, we straight away went ahead with US back in the day, but currently we are targeting many countries, many prominent countries such as US, China, UK, Canada, Russia, etc. So to build a great startup or to do any product, I think there's the team of people that's behind it is the key. So luckily for us, there have been a lot of people who contributed to 4Axis journey, and it has been an incredible journey so far. Many of the team members have been there for many years until now. There are people who worked with us for 5+ years and 4+ years. So they keep on building the trust with each other, and I mean, they are the backbone of our journey so far. And the location. So when we started, we always wanted to build a great workplace for our team. So back in 2013, we only had our, we 4 of us and 2 of our colleagues. So we only wanted to get a room and few chairs and tables. But when we, build or scaled up, we wanted to build a great workplace for our team, and a workplace that if you, even if you come from a catastrophic situation, if you enter 4Axis, your mood is up and you're ready to work. So in terms of achievements, so we have won national, I think, Iswabani award for the national entertainment category in 2014. Apart from that, I think the real achievements we have to mention is the users' trust that we have gained so far around the world. We have been in top ranks in many countries, but to mention a few prominent ranks that we have achieved is in iPad US productivity category, we have been in #1, and in China recently we have been managed to get into the top 10 apps in China productivity category. And our app is being used by many educational institutes, thousands of teachers and schools around the world for their learning activities. I think I heard from Sachin that there are a lot of founders who are listening to this, Zoom. So I just wanted to mention a few key aspects that we followed along the way. As you know, by now we have been bootstrapping for the last few years. So cash flow was our prominent aspect or the thing that we focused on, operating cost and net profit. So we solely, focused a good deal of thought process for that, and the product timeline. So as we built only one app for many years, we found ourselves building the same or improving our technology stack many times, like 3 to 4 times. We re-engineered the same product as we get like we think it's not up to date after quite few years. It's not up to date, so we have to re-engineer. So I think that's also a key thing, that you have to update your product regularly and be up to date with the technologies and the culture, the team culture. So when you starting up, you might be able to do a lot of things, but when you are growing, you need to hand it over some tasks to others to continue work, and you have to focus on some other things. So building a team culture that suits your thought process, and who would be encouraged to work with you for a long period of time, is the team culture that you are going to create. So that's really important. And the continuous learning. So I think in IT industry, you don't need to tell that you have to learn every day to be with the industry. So I just mentioned few challenges that we have been facing recently. So running marketing activities directly from Sri Lanka has been a headache for us, and it has been ramped up by this credit card limits that and the managing USD cash flow. It has really negatively impacted us. And and the integrating to prominent payment gateways was maybe the first, but right now it's the least of the challenges. So fine, as the final thoughts, I'll mention three like principles that we followed, important principles. So we never worried about the entire path, and we always wanted to focus on a product, not a service-based company. So we always focused on a product, and we tried to take the product to the global market. So I'll wrap up my presentation saying popular sentence. So do what you love and don't let yourself down no matter what. Thank you. Sachin, over to you.
Thank you, Dumidu. Thank you for taking the time and then compiling your story. I know it's been more than 6 to 7 years, and it has been a journey, and it has been wonderful to have been part of it. And we are very proud as a country on what you have achieved through both Drawing Desk and also Colorgram. Thank you for sharing it with us. Next, we have Nisha Tilas, who is the co-founder and CFO of Kenai Solutions, and also a few other companies that they have spun off. Nisha, can you hear me? Yes, I
Hi,
can see
Sasha.
you.
I can hear you.
Great. Thank you for being here. And so to the audience, and Nisha has a wonderful story to share, what her and her co-founders have built throughout the years. And without further ado, may I hand over to Nisha to share her story.
Thank you so much, Sachin. So, hi, everybody. And just piggybacking on Dimidu's presentation, that was a great success story. Something we also learned as we went along, building Kenai and all our other companies. So for those who don't know me much, just a quick introduction. I'm the CFO and the co-founder of Kenai Group of Companies. For those who know me personally, they also know that I'm a bit of a risk taker and I like trying new things. I like traveling and going places. Sort of gets me excited about doing new things. So my journey as an entrepreneur started about a decade ago when I joined hands with two of my very close friends, Steve and Sean, which brought us to where we are today. And I was thinking, how can my story inspire you? Because I don't come from a rich family background with experience in business. I come from a family which are like any others, like you guys, who do the normal thing, go to school, work somewhere. And then I took the risk of being an entrepreneur. And how can I help you to move forward? Can you? All right. So as I said, I'm a person who always likes to take a risk, push myself, and learning and growing really made me a humble person, which made me realize the key to success is being humble, learning from those mistakes and pushing myself forward to be better than yesterday. So we built Kenai and Beyond, and we started off with Kenai. And we were growing, of course. We started in the tech industry because that was booming. Tech industry was booming in Sri Lanka. And we took advantage of the market at that time. We were making money, but we were not really making profits. We bootstrapped our way as well. And we continued to provide solutions to make things happen, to deliver to clients what they wanted. But there was a journey. We felt that there was something missing. We were doing things right. We were constantly what we need to do to make our life, to make our company, to make things that do better, what is the missing element? We had ambition, we were making money, and we want the exposure. So like anybody else out there, we put ourselves out making money, but there was always this missing element. We started with a very small staff in somebody's house, and then we moved on to growing our team, increasing our revenue 2-3 folds every year. And then we realized there's still something missing. So we stopped focusing on making money, and we started building a team. And we thought, okay, in order to make everybody part of our journey, our vision, we need to make sure that they understand where we're coming from, to make it a wholesome company. So we installed a few values, and we rebuilt our company around those values, because no matter how great the service was, we still needed to have something to believe in, and we wanted to obtain everybody on board to focus on that heart and that vision. So our values were what brought us to where we are today. Transparency, integrity, responsibility, and communication. These are the pillars that really helped us to be who we are today. The bigger vision of how Kenai started almost 10 years ago. The leadership team comes from different backgrounds, and we have different ways of thinking, we have different ideas, we have different ways of perceiving things, but what connected us all is that trust and the vision. Today, we expanded that vision globally. So don't be afraid to think big. Don't be afraid to think global. Don't be afraid to take a risk. Go out there and work with different people. We have with us today team members from around the world, in US, Belgium, Germany, Algeria, Nigeria, and Sri Lanka. So all of these people help us become more connected, more unique. All of these cultures make that uniqueness of Kenai, and obviously the growth that we achieved is none other than the support of all of these different thinking methods and the different thinking thinking curves that brought into what we have built today. So today we have functioning offices in US, in France, and also in Sri Lanka. And very soon we'll be spinning off our very own SaaS product, Gravity BI, which is something you will all get to know soon. So Gravity is one of our own ideas, which we didn't invest in until we realized just being a service company is not enough. So we had to build our own product, and we bootstrapped our way through Gravity until we got support from our very own ICTA and Sachendra. Thank you so much for that. And our banking partners. So in 2018, where we were just topping up with a bit over 100 people. So what happened? That change, uniqueness of all of those people that we brought into our company turned around, and from bootstrapping, able to have a better financial backing we were able to start making profits to a point where we shared profit share with our team, which is something we weren't sure we will be able to do until just last year. So I would call ourselves a late startup because even though we've been in the market, we have not really been able to stand out as a company that had been able to achieve what we wanted to. So our objective for 2021 is hopefully to hit that $1 million and focusing on more gender. Very proud of it. And we look forward to achieving in the next couple of months a ratio in our channels. Okay.
Anisha, your line is breaking a bit more than it was earlier. You shift your, maybe if you have more slides, you can shift your connection.
All right.
Spot, or maybe minimize screen so that it takes less bandwidth.
Sure. Give me a second.
Thank you. While Nisha adjusts, please send in your questions through the chat box and we will take up at the end. So we will spend some time talking to the three speakers just after Anarkali finishes her presentation. So do have your questions lined up, send it in the chat box and I will take it up. So we will try to spend enough time talking to them, get this opportunity to talk to them and ask questions that you have. Control, did Nisha drop out? Maybe until Nisha is back, we want to pose a question to Dumidu. Are you there?
Yes, Ajinta, yes.
Okay, until Nisha is back. Dumidu, was there a pivotal point, like in your journey, in the journey of 4Axis, where things changed drastically? You went in maybe a linear acceleration and at a particular point you went exponentially. Could you explain a bit more if there was a point like that?
Yeah, there were like two like situations like that, I think. It was the initial phase. I mean, we changed our revenue model, main revenue model 2 times. One was like completely on advertisements, and currently we focus only on in-app purchase or subscriptions. So based on that monetization models, we were able to gain quite enough, I mean, exponential growth. I mean, I think that's even like relatable, like to the apps that's out there right now on the Apple App Store, and many of these softwares changed to the subscription model. Because I mean, sustaining a product, developing updates timely, and developing many functionalities required capital. So I think for better amount of the industry, I think the software like changed to the subscription based model recently. So with that, I think we were managed to do well as well. So that's basically a exponential growth tipping point. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That was quite clear. The change of the revenue model. Thank you for that, Dumudu. And I think Nisha is back. Nisha, can you hear us?
Yeah, hi. I'm sorry about that. Am I audible now,
Yes,
Sajendra?
you're audible. I think the connection is also better.
Okay,
And we'll take it from where you left
sure.
off.
Yeah, so I was talking about how we changed our culture and our thinking pattern, and how automatically we changed from a loss-making company to double our revenue in the last 3 years. So my message to you all here, all you budding entrepreneurs out there, change your thinking and you will see what happened. Our people grew from 2018 at 38. We are just past 100 people now. And also just piggybacking on my friend Alagan's talk the other day, where he mentioned about how connections matter. Connections with our bank, the relationships with our bank completely changed. The relationships that we built, the trust factor really helped us to obviously we needed investment in order to move forward with our plans. And that financial backing really came from the entire change organization wide. So also our clients today, we've an entire suite of clients. We have clients who are registered in the US NASDAQ, and also small entrepreneurs who started up with us almost 6-7 years ago, who continued to support us because they believed in us, and we also got them on board with our thinking pattern. We got them on board. We were able to convince them, to show them our capabilities as a team. So just to close off, my message to you all is, if you want to change the world, you have to take a risk. And whenever you fail, that failure is a lesson. So learn from those failures, be humble, and surround yourself with people who will encourage you and also take you a long way, because the encouragement that you receive from those people around you are the challenges that you'll have to overcome. So thank you very much, Sachendra, for having me today. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Nisha, and thank you for also acknowledging ICTA. And we were very happy to hear the loan grant which was made possible. And even just the session before, we were talking to some of the banks about the credit framework and how they are utilizing it to support technology companies. I'm very happy that it worked out for Kenai Solutions. Okay, so we've heard stories from two entrepreneurs, Dumidu and Nisha, about their how the company have gone on a journey and certain pivotal points in their journey. Even Nisha alluded to some of those pivotal points which made the company really grow exponentially. So changing the lanes a bit, we will now listen to a story from an investor. I would know most of you who've gathered would really see investors as a mechanism to fund your startups. But investors also go on a journey. They learn through their experiences, working with startups, supporting startups with successes, and also as well as failures. So this time is would really happy to have Anarkali Munasinghe, a board member of the Lankan Angel Network, with us. Thank you for being here, Anarkali, and would like to invite you to share your story as an investor.
Sachendra, thank you. I hope you can all hear me clearly.
I can hear you clearly, Anarkali.
Okay, great. So I have to say, Domingo and Nisha really exemplify what we're looking for in entrepreneurs. So they've made my story a lot easier, actually. In terms of a journey as an investor, so I came to angel and early stage investing via the Lankan Angel Network and Venture Engine about 6 years ago. My career has been in investment banking, where I worked in emerging markets in Asia and also in Europe. So my focus was really on mergers and acquisitions and corporate finance. And that meant that I really had a background in analyzing companies, their business models and financials. It was something I did on a daily basis. But when it came to this level, this early stage investing, I had never really done that before, and I never advised clients at that end either. So it's been a real journey of learning for me. And it's a very different mindset you have to have. I had met and worked with entrepreneurs, but people who had really built companies already to quite a mature stage. And to give you a sense of scale, the clients that I advised in Sri Lanka, their minimum ticket size and what they were looking to invest, we were looking at things in the region of 25 to 50 million US dollars. So that's a huge difference, right? Compared to when you're investing personal money and you're more at the end of sort of 25,000 US dollars, So it took a real mind shift for me to understand this. Being an angel investor, it's very different. You have to learn new skills. Valuations are different when you're starting up. The way you judge a business is also different. You don't have that long track record to look at. You don't have the financials to do the traditional valuations. And I quickly realized that more than just bringing money to the table, entrepreneurs were looking for other value additions from an investor. So some of the key factors that entrepreneurs require are advice and guidance, contacts to potential customers, contacts to potential employees, knowledge of the marketplace and strategies used by similar companies, contacts to strategic partners, to other investors, venture capital. You also have to have a certain credibility, and that is important for them when you're associated with them as an investor. And then even things like when they're starting up, access to lawyers, accountants, company secretaries, bankers. I think Nisha alluded to quite a bit of this in her presentation. So for me, being a part of the Lankan Angel Network really helped me to learn from other investors and from the entrepreneurs too. It really it's been an environment of abundance. By that, I mean, people are willing to share their knowledge and give their time to you. The focus is on building the entire ecosystem of entrepreneurship in Sri Lanka. It's a very supportive environment. It also has enabled me to meet some of the wonderful tech entrepreneurs that we already have in this country who have created very successful businesses like 99X, WSO2, Iron One, Zenid, Cisco Labs. And what struck me over and over again is really the unwavering commitment all these people have to growing the entire industry in Sri Lanka. So that's also been great. Again, another learning. In terms of investors and how we invest, I think it's important that the people out there who are as entrepreneurs really do their research. You've got to look at who is investing in Sri Lanka, whether they're high net worth individuals or their companies. What is their current portfolio? What is their track record with their entrepreneurs? Talk to other entrepreneurs that people have actually invested in. What are the structures of capital that people are using? What is typical? Look at things like shareholder agreements. And then also I think it's important to look offshore. How is this done in other countries? Follow key people, out of Silicon Valley, India and Southeast Asia who are investors. Follow them on platforms like Twitter, because they're teachers and they're influencers. These are people that I, as an investor, follow because, as I said, the learnings are important and it's a daily process for many of us. There is wealth of information out there, and I really encourage everyone to utilize it. So if I go into my journey of, what I look at today when making a decision on whether to invest or not, there are certain key factors here. So firstly, the quality, passion, commitment, and integrity of founders. This is really key. That swing on whether you're going to invest really depends on the founder team. Do they absolutely believe in their solution or product? How robust is this team? Do they realize they have certain gaps? Are they working full-time in the company? What is their track record? The next thing that we would look at is the market opportunity that is being addressed and the potential for this to become a very big company. I think you'll hear this over and over again. Many investors will tell you that we look for scale. We want you to look beyond Sri Lanka with these solutions. And I think both the entrepreneurs who have spoken today really, again, exemplify that. Another thing is, do they understand the market that they're in? Do they understand the potential? Do they understand how to monetize? Going on from there, again, so this is the business plan. Is it clearly thought out? And what is the early evidence of obtaining traction towards that plan? Another factor would be, is it interesting technology and intellectual property? Is there a true barrier to entry or a competitive advantage in what an entrepreneur or entrepreneurial team is doing? And as I said, now going back to valuation, this is also key. So an appropriate valuation with reasonable terms. Angel investors are investing in very early stage companies when risk is at its highest. So we will look, it's an inverse relationship in that sense. So you will look at lower valuations at the start of your investor journey in that sense. As companies go through, you will see that ideally your valuation needs to increase at every round of funding. And as investors, the other thing we would look at is the viability of raising additional rounds as the startup progresses through its journey. So as I've said a couple of times now, this has been a journey of learning for me. I have learned from every investment I have made. Some have been successful and some have not. As you're used to this, it's part of the course. I mean, there are certain companies that I've invested in and I have unfortunately lost money because those companies don't exist today. Some because the model wasn't right, the team may not have worked together, and others because they just couldn't go on. They didn't have the traction to raise the next rounds of funding that they needed. So as an early stage investor, you have to realize the risk. You have to know that you shouldn't be doing this in terms of investing your life savings, right? This is money that you're willing to put at risk. On the other side of that is that it is also not charity money, right? We are looking at people who we believe in them and we believe in their product or their service, and we also expect a return on our investment, right? And that means that as investors, we will push entrepreneurs accordingly. It's a support, but it's also, if the push is required, then that's something that investors will do. Hopefully, both the founders and the investors are aligned in their goals in the business. It is not short-term profit that any of us is seeking. We understand that growing these businesses takes time. And as Sachin mentioned earlier, you start off and your growth can be quite slow and linear, and then you sort of hit that exponential curve. So we understand those when we're going into the companies that we're looking at. There are certainly challenges, and the journey has had many challenges, but more than anything, I've really found it very fulfilling to work with entrepreneurs because they are so willing to take this risk on an idea that they totally believe in. Being able to help them grow that business from a plan on paper to a minimum viable product and then to watching them gain traction in the market it's tremendous to watch and to be involved with. So therefore, as an investor, I'm willing to give of my time and energy to those who are equally committed. I hope that it has helped from my sharing my insights today. And I encourage you all as entrepreneurs to look positively on angel investing and to reach out to us as investors. Hope that's helped. And Sachin, as I said earlier to you, if there's any questions you want to add or just prod me along on specific areas, please feel free to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Anarkali. Actually, I do would want you to elaborate a bit on if there are potential investors on this webinar joined with us today. Where could they start? How could they make their first investment?
Okay. So as I said, there's, you have to look at a certain bucket of money that you would put aside and you would look at a per investment, right? Typically, investors will say, okay, if I have this amount of money, I'm going to make a certain number of investments over a period of time, right? I don't think, at this early stage, it doesn't really make sense to say, let's say you have ₹1 million, you don't take all of that and just put it into one company typically. You will look at that amount and say, right, I am going to make, let's say, 5 to 6 investments over the course of the next 2 years. Ideally, you work out how much you want to invest per company and how often you will invest. And also, I would suggest that they plan for doing a second round of investing, right? An onward investment. There are, the Lankan Angel Network is definitely one way to get involved. We recently started a ₹100 million fund with 100 angels. And we are, what we hope is a source of information for investors, regardless of whether you're a part of our network or not. That's one way to learn about it. And, today there are several such organizations that people can get involved with.
Thank you, Anarkali, and thank you once again for taking the time and sharing your journey with those who are gathered here physically at BMICH and also those who have joined online. Thank you once again. So there are a few questions which have come on the chat box. And Nisha, thank you for answering some of them on the chat box itself. So may I post some of it to Dumidu as well? What are the biggest challenges that you faced in your journey? Maybe you can be specific on one particular challenge and maybe how you overcame that, Dumidu.
Okay, Sachin. Biggest challenge. So apart from the recent challenges that I mentioned in my presentation, technically building a startup and focusing on a single product where our colleagues and many of us around us in Sri Lanka focusing on like building many things at once, and people like discuss with me and our co-founders, what's the next thing you are working on? I mean, after 6 months, what's the next thing you are working on? And constantly asking that question. Like, I think it's not a challenge. I mean, I think that's a barrier of thinking, and that needed us to get out of our way of thinking. So we needed to have constant discussions within our team members. I mean, why we should focus on products, because there were many occasions where we could have build something and gain some money to run the company, but saying no to some set of decisions at a time may be a challenge. That was a bit difficult, not a difficult, I mean, that was a challenge that we had to face at the earlier stage of the startup, but later on, I mean, we knew what we had to do.
Thank you, Dumidu. So Nisha have replied on this, but can I ask Nisha to pick one particular challenge and then maybe elaborate on how you overcame that?
So I think, Sachendra, we had a few challenges during our journey, but one of the biggest challenges that we had was the mindset of an IT company. So access to funds depended on the mindset of the investors or financial supporters. And I think that has changed quite a bit right now. And we are on our way to a brighter, I would say, a more flexible future. But that was one of our most challenging biggest challenges that we had faced, being in the tech industry as an in the very, very early stage. Access to funds was one of the biggest challenges that we had.
Thank you. I'll go to the next question. If you think of product-based and project-based companies, what do you think as the most successful? I think since we have, I would say, project and product both here on the panel, this would be an interesting answer. Can I pose this to you, Nisha, first?
So I think both have a direct impact on productivity. So even if it's a project or a product, it will directly have a productivity will be one of the direct contributors to it. You can have a project, or you can have a product. You can have a project, or you can have a long-term project. Still, if you don't invest in it, or if you don't invest your resources productively, you're bound to fail in both.
Same question to Dumidu as well.
Yes, so then I think I elaborated more earlier as well. So, if you think as a country, as a startup ecosystem, I think products should be the key. I mean, no service company. I mean, we do have like thousands of people working for service companies, right? I mean, we are still struggling. And I don't think we can do the same in the future. I mean, we definitely have to find few entrepreneurs that can build like $1 million companies with few set of people, and it can be done only with products. And there are a lot of challenges to that as well. Building a product from Sri Lanka. I mean, starting up and running a company in Sri Lanka. There are a lot of challenges in terms of the banking system is not up to date. The wire transactions are really, I mean, it's a mess. The credit card limits, and there are a lot of things to get rid of. But building a product is the key, I think.
Thank you for both answers. So I think in the national strategy, it's a blend of it. Yes, the country is looking at bringing in our revenue of $3 billion to consist 60% of IP creation and also high-end product engineering, and 40% in terms of services and resource augmentation. So this shift is taking place as we speak right now, and hence why this forum as well, where the solutions, whether it's services also being productized and other products like what Colorgram is and Drawing Desk also going into the market. So let me get into the final question. Excuse me for the delay. Yes, the question which Anisha has partially answered as well. I would like to pose this to Anarkali before we go to the entrepreneurs, since I would say the investors would look at this in a very serious manner. The financial management of the startup. The question is, how do you handle it? How did you save money? How do directors make money, and how they share the profits to succeed? So Anarkali, from an investment bank point of view and an investor point of view, what would you say is the best practice for this, for the entrepreneurs? And then I'll get to the entrepreneurs to see how they have actually done it.
Okay, so I think one key is that as an investor, we're looking at entrepreneurs who have a good hold on their numbers, right? So that you know what's happening with your company. You need to understand your burn rate. You need to understand, with your revenue model, is that something that needs to be tweaked or pivoted? You have to be on top of those cash flows. And I think the days of, growth at any cost and investors just giving you money is gone. It had already started to decline before COVID, and COVID basically killed that model, right? I think the buzzword with everybody on the investor community is unit economics. I think the great thing about Sri Lankan entrepreneurs, for the most part, is that they get that. In fact, they may be getting it a little bit too much, where they are worried about not making bottom line, and then so they're trying to subsidize it with other cash flows, right? Whether it's offering services or something, and then they can lose a bit of focus, So I think as investors, we don't want that either. We want you to understand your cash flows, and we want to understand that so that we can make sure you have enough capital and enough to get you to your next round of investment, right? So I think as entrepreneurs, sometimes we meet people and they say, oh, I don't really understand the numbers. I don't know this. I think people need to stop. They can't shy away from that, right? You have to understand your numbers within your company. Otherwise, you can't succeed, right? That's just a fundamental. And I found that especially when we see some of the Indian investors who come in, they are very aggressive in asking questions in terms of trying to get to the bottom line of, do you understand how your company is working financially as well, right? So that's important.
Thank you, Anaklia. I think you also brought up the point that the investors would want to support the company with capital so that they don't have to shift their attention and start servicing other companies to keep the lights on or have a cash flow. That's an encouragement for those who are looking to source funding or to attract funding. So this question on how directors make money, how do they share profits? I will pose to Dumidu. Dumidu, if you can answer that question from your perspective.
Okay, so at the initial stage, I can remember we took a lesser amount of salary than our employees for many years until we get that exponential growth. I mean, until that, like 3 to 4 years, like we didn't get that much of a salary. So that's the co-founders risk that's been taken. So director's salary is it should be there, but at the beginning it should be kept to a low amount as possible as you can.
Thank you. Nisha, would you want to add something to what you already written in terms of especially how to share the profits? How do the directors make money?
So I think we went through the same learning curve. Initially, until I think very recently, I would say, we hardly took a salary from businesses. We had to sometimes even put in money or forego our salaries in order to get teams paid, because that was for us more important, and we know that was an investment itself for us. And also how to share profits. I mean, you have to get the company to a position where you can start making profits, and investing in a product. We were late to do of a company, to have your own product, to have something that will make money for you in the long run. And in terms of sharing profits, we did something really extraordinary. We shared the first profit share that we made with our team, and we made it an inclusive profit share. So we capitalized some of those profits, and we shared profits within the team. So you take a percentage of your profits and you distribute it amongst your founders and also your team members, and then that will sort of encourage you to start being more productive in your growth.
One thing, Sajinda, I want to add one thing. So I think initially I said like you can like take a minimum salary, but you need to understand, I mean, going forward, if you're raising money, But you need to understand your contribution in terms of the salary. I mean, when you're raising funds, I definitely think when you raise at the level of raising funds, you definitely have to identify your actual amount to be paid. So you don't get that out of your thinking. So that's one thing I just wanted to update.
Thank you for adding that, and I think Anarkali would also veto that.
Yeah, can I just jump in quickly to say that definitely any investors who are your directors should not be taking any salaries. There should be no money other than for, when a company is at a certain point, a dividend, and even that is quite rare at the early stages, right? People don't expect to see dividends. It's really more in terms of long term and then at an exit. And I completely agree with Vimindu that you have to value yourself as entrepreneurs. I mean, taking that initial salary cut to get, the company going is one thing, but down the road, you have to value yourself properly so that investors also factor that in, right? It's not a forever taking a salary cut.
Thank you for adding that, Anukali. That I think this discussion during the past 1 hour have brought in a good blend from entrepreneur and investor perspective, especially for those who are listening in online and also those who are here. So we come to the end of the first half of this session. I'm sorry that I couldn't take up all the questions. There was a question on whether there is a tool or to study a product before you invest in it. I will share email addresses on this chat thread, so you can send your question, Jamsid, and I'll connect you with the Lankan Angel Network to better give you some information on being an investor and how to assess companies. So with that, we would bring the first session to a close. Thank you, Dumindu. Thank you, Nisha, and thank you, Anarkali, for sharing your stories. We have been quite inspired, and we will be recording, as you see, we are recording this, and we'll be doing a post-production and having this also for the benefit of others on the Spiralation YouTube channel. Thank you once again to all of you. So we will
Thank you for having
move
me.
to the next phase of this growth story series. So we heard the growth stories of individuals, entrepreneurs, and then investors. Now we will look at a story of growth of our ecosystem. So with that, I would like to invite the representatives of the multiple hubs which are here to come and take their seats up front, and also the senior manager, startup ecosystem development, my colleague Tamasha, to take on the podium and to present to us a glimpse of the startup ecosystem development work in the country and where we are heading as a startup nation. So maybe first, Tamasha, could start your presentation.
Thank you, Sachindra. Can we have the presentation? Can we go to the first? Okay, thank you. So towards a startup nation. So in the line, it says that we have collaborating towards a startup nation. So startup is kind of a buzzword you might hearing from everywhere now, because the reason is, if we could move to the next slide. Yes, as you can see, the reason. From 2020 onwards, startup and innovation has been the wave of the technology industry growth. So as you can see, 2020 to 2016, it has been the outsourcing. And from 2016 to 2020, it has been the product engineering. And from 2020 onwards, startup and innovation has given the prominence from the government and also from the startup ecosystem in Sri Lanka, that we should reach to a particular level where we can have the two national goals. One is hitting 1,000 tech startups by 2024, and also hitting $3 billion export revenue. Moving on, in the next slide, you can see what the startup ecosystem has been taking over from 2010 onwards up until 2022, starting with the very on incubator program of ICTA, spiralation program, which is now is still continuing and now being granting for about for granting 1.5 million for startup companies. And going directly going into 2014, which is for YFN for 4 years from now, a conference that we took, we were taking a part held in France. And directing to 2020, we are featuring the GSER Global Startup Ecosystem Report 2020. Sri Lanka was featuring as one of the countries who has an active ecosystem. And also the Startup Impediments Report, which we collaboratively developed with PwC in identifying and creating a more conducive environment for the startups. And again, the credit scoring model, which you might have heard in one of the initial sessions as well, which is exclusively for technology startups, which has no weightage being allocated for physical collaterals. And the exclusive procurement, which is, I would say, that is a circular that came from the government to support the startups, which is less than 2 million. If the procurement is less than 2 million, they can directly source startups from the Startup SL platform, which we launched in 2018. Then 2021, actually, we formed a new SBU for the startup ecosystem development with three new programs, as you can see, 10,000 ideas, STEP, pre-incubator, and which are the two main programs which support the budding entrepreneurs or all early stage entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial universities, which is a strategic level intervention that we want to collaborate with the universities and also the higher education institutes in Sri Lanka. Moving on. So this is the regional distribution of the startups we have in the country as of now. These statistics we collected from the Startup SL platform, which is the biggest platform for technology startups in Sri Lanka, which has over 600 startups as of now. So as you can see, the distribution and their offering. So as you can see, the maximum numbers, maximum count of offering goes to the e-commerce sector with 114, and then to digital marketing, and the rest will follow the same. Moving on to the next slide, which is kind of a new framework that we have, I would say a new journey that we have developed. This is how ICTA is being supporting and now supporting the startups, starting from the very early stage where you have just an idea. We have 10,000 ideas, entrepreneurial universities, and our global partner, our global accelerator that we have partnered with, Wadhwani Foundation. And then if you have a business plan, yes, we have the STEP pre-incubator, where we guide and handhold all these startups up until the point where they develop your MVP, or at least until the point where they have their first customer, or maybe can go for a business registration as well. Again, we have the international partnership, Wadhwani Foundation, who are supporting the same. So those who are with just an idea can directly coming into 10,000 ideas. So one of the things I want to mention here is that since we have Startup Hub representatives here, these are the two main things that easily can take up and run: 10,000 ideas and STEP pre-incubator, which caters a lot and which you might have a bigger, wider network to get connected with, which you're already in. So 10,000 ideas is anyone who's coming up with an idea, they can directly sign up and run programs and get into a business plan. And if they have a business plan, they can directly going into STEP program, which also can be replicated by the hubs. And if they have their business ready in place, then they can directly register into the Startup SL platform, which is the platform for technology startups. And they can occupy the Sparks Lab. So you might have heard this name before. The Sparks Lab is the, I would say, an orientation space, which is inside ICTA, which you can have like 2 weeks of get 2 weeks of orientation program inside ICTA, being occupying in one of the co-working spaces we have inside ICTA. And when they are and if they are in the MVP level, they can directly going into spiralation. If spiralation, we take limited numbers because it's a grant that we are offering. But if you're confident that the product is really good and can compete with the other startups coming into spiralation, yes, that is a platform. Again, Sparks Lab facilitate for that as well. And if you are in the launch stage, then you can go with the new credit evaluation framework. So this is not the one we have now. We are going for another credit evaluation framework, which is exclusively for the startup. So as you might have heard before, the framework we have as of now is for scale-up companies, those who can provide 3 years of audited financial accounts. And this particular framework, if you are at the launch stage, this will give you, evaluate you based on the credit framework with no collateral being present. And if you are launch and in the scale up stage, yes, we do have the alternative credit evaluation framework we have of which we already have given about 150 million altogether as of now. And then you will be opening up to the market access support that we give through NPACT and EU SLEEPS, which is the pathway for German market, and also other markets through the market access support program we have in ICTA. And if the company is scaling, you will be able to again get the support from the alternative credit evaluation framework, which is for scale-up companies, and also the LLP structures that we are trying to get to Sri Lanka to avail more funding coming into the startups in Sri Lanka. So this is what we are doing now. I think this is, in a nutshell, this is what we are doing at ICTA. If you do have any questions, can we move to the next slide? If you do have any questions, you can ask me now as well. Not a problem with that. Or else you can write to startups@icta.lk or 10,000 ideas at icta.lk if you have ideas. This is the 10,000 ideas at icta.lk will be the email address for you. If it's general, you can write to startups@icta.lk. Thank you. Over to you, Sachin.
Thank you, Tamasha. So can we have the, sorry about that, representatives of the hubs coming in front and taking your respectful seats? So without me introducing, can all be seen? Can we have the camera on the panelists? Can all they be seen as well? Okay. Okay. So without me introducing, I would invite each representative to give a small introduction of their particular hub. Small introduction, and then we will go into a few other specifics. So maybe starting from my right, starting from Lakmini.
Hi, I'm Lakmini Gunatilaka, representing the Vayamba Startup Hub. We just launched today, and we are very eager to be developed into a very potential startup because we feel that there's a good potential in Vayamba province, the northwestern province of Sri Lanka, in exploring into the startup hub. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nalin Bumawala, representing the Central Startup Hub. We are a startup hub just 1 month old, and we are in the process of building our ecosystem partners and the members. Thank you. Hi, I'm Dhammika Marasinghe representing the Startup Hub. We actually been in the ecosystem for about like 5 years from 2016, and currently Uber Startup Hub is with three key startup with 30 plus employees and another 20 startups who are in the initial stage. And over the last few years, we've been like doing multiple activities. To sum up, about like 20 plus different activities focusing on different workshops, webinars, and things like that. And over these different programs, we managed to support about 10 startups with different kind of other programs such as ICTA and other ecosystem providers, as which we will go into detail later on. So we are really happy to be here today from our Startup Hub and with all other startup hub in the country. Look forward.
Hello everyone, I'm Tendukula Singh and I'm representing Ruhuna Startup Hub, and we are very happy to introduce you because we actually started this a few months ago actually, and our main target is to be the best competitor in the Sri Lankan economy and introduce Ruhunu Startup Hub, and they introduce them to the world market and give them a best push we can by our hub. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm representing Sabaragamu Startup Hub from the Sabaragamu province. So we are a group of investors, startups and freelancers joined together from Sabaragamu province to support startups, freelancers and individuals in the province. So we support students, professionals, also startup companies to go their journey, and also supporting with ICTA as a national partner with a lot of programs that they are providing. Also, we have partnerships with other organizations as well. Looking forward to discussing more details in the next round. Thank you.
Thank you. So for the audience, if you have any questions to the startup hubs, you may be belonging to one of these provinces. You may pose it on the chat thread, and I will take it up in our Q&A round. So let's set off questions. So there's a reason that every province has a startup hub. It's because each province has its own strength, own unique selling proposition or competitive advantage. So I would like to ask the representatives of the hubs of what that is. Maybe starting from Udita and coming back again. What are the strengths of your particular hub that you think is unique?
If you look at Sabaragamu province, gem industry is becoming a vital role in the province. So it's one of the highest kind of value given to the nation with the gem industry. So that is a kind of a unique approach that we can take up because a lot of these industries is quite traditional from past 100 years. So there are a lot of opportunities in the region that we can digitalize and provide more opportunities in this front, connecting this gem industry to the world in a much more digitalized way. That is one of the unique opportunity we find in our region.
Thank you. Thank you.
In the historic days, we can see southern province as more of a tourist destination rather than economic hub and technological hub. But we believe, being the pioneers in Sri Lankan education, we all know the southern province is the best province to achieve a physical education for a child. Being a top pioneers in Sri Lankan education, we hope to give these children a push to start startup hubs and empower Sri Lankan down south youth.
Thank you.
From our side, it's actually a landlocked area in the country if you look at from the across other regions. So, however, being landlocked, again, there are some unique opportunities that we would find, especially in the areas like tourism, with the certain improvements or booms that we see in areas like Ella or 9 Arcs Bridge. And also there are certain other aspects that we need to really tap into in terms of the community side of things, because if you really look at in terms of the digital literacy and all, there's really big work that we need to do. So in that case, at Startup, we not only focus only on the startup, but also in terms of the IT literacy and building that capacity in-house. so that we can utilize that more and more, because we have certain set of universities closely, specifically like Uva and then in a closer proximity Sabaragamu as well as Peradeniya University. And other strengths have been like being in the ecosystem for quite a bit of time. We made really good, strong partnerships with most local as well as some global partnerships. From ICTA, who's been a long friend, there were multiple support programs from inspiration to pre-incubations program to all other works. And even from the other aspects, there were multiple programs like EU SLIP program, or else even with other local stakeholders like SLASCOM, EDB, TRACE. We've been doing a lot of work, and one of the major focus now we are having is to start actually in the to provide in terms of infrastructure issue to solve our workspace issue that we face. So I think based on those, we have a lot of viability that we can do and a lot more work to do in the next few years to come.
Thank you. I think you elaborated on some of your plans as well. So we'll get to that with the other startup hubs. So from Nalin, just focusing on the strength, the unique strength of the central hub.
Okay, yes. When it comes to establishing an ecosystem like this, since we are in the early stage of establishing our hub, so we have identified few key ingredients. We need to have people, of course, to put up a effort like this, and we need to have infrastructure there, and then we need to have industry support, and then we need to have continuous supply of talent in order to keep up with the growth that we expect to have in coming years. So when you consider the central province, which comprises of Kandy, Matale, and Nuwara districts, we have them all. We got all the boxes ticked. So I think that is our USP. We when it comes to infrastructure, we have better facilities, but are in par with Colombo, and we have a number of large higher educational institutes that produce large number of graduates. Likewise, we have all the ingredients that are required to establish a proper and better infrastructure ecosystem, and hence we believe that is our strength.
Okay, thank you. Lakmini, so what's the strength for Vyamba?
For Vyamba, I believe that ease of access is the one of the key areas that we have, because we have road number 4 and the highway coming down there. So it is one key advantage that we are planning to take advantage on. Also, Vyamba, the Northwestern Province has been a very innovative place for in the agricultural aspects, because we are the ones who have excelled in producing this cocoa and cocoa related products, which are used in many industries that are naturally grown things. And also from Vyamba, we have many resources, many useful resources, and also good R&D resources also available, so that for a startup ecosystem, I believe the Vyamba has the most perfect opportunity on the location as well as the facilities.
Great to hear. So those who are listening in have been sending questions on how can they join the particular hubs. So with that, maybe starting from the hubs which were created, I would say launched today, Vyamba and Southern, I will move into those who have been created a few months back, and finally to Uva, who have been there since 2016. So the question is, why should someone join your hub? Why should someone join your hub? What are the benefits? Starting from Lakmini.
So the main benefits that we are thinking is that being together and sharing the knowledge and the resources is the key aspect that we should be getting together. And that we currently we have on our startup, currently we have fintech experience with global exposure, and supply chain management and agricultural agro-related R&D, agro-related startups are there that we have joined initially. So we are looking to build on the resources and the capacity of the region. So that is the key aspect. And also we believe that being together is the and having the right mindset is the way to the success, because when we have the good talent and the capabilities of the startups, that will open up markets for us. So that is a key advantage that you should join, so that we together we can thrive and survive. Thank you.
Lakmini. Then to the representative of the Rune Hub.
Yeah, I would like to agree with Mr. Lakshmi said. Being together is the main advantage someone would get, and I like to add few those things for two stakeholders. For university students, we would like to give them the opportunity to learn how the industry works by giving them opportunity to interns, because in rural universities there are many students who move to Colombo for interns, and we hope to give them interns in down south. And for another key stakeholders, which are startups, we would like to give them the opportunity to have a core networking spaces and other infrastructure for them to facilitate their startups. I believe those are the best reasons why those stakeholders should join us.
Great, thank you. That's good news. To Central.
The reasons, there are actually many reasons why you should join a hub, whatever the district or whatever the province you are in. So the first thing I would like to say is like the connectedness, local connectivity, because in the recent startup, reports, one of the key things that they have identified is the lack of local connectedness is the reasons that why Sri Lanka is lacking high growth startups. So that is the main reason, as Lakmini and the Gold startup, Runu startup correctly said. And to add more on to that, when you are a startup founder, you operate in isolation. You face problems yourselves, and you try to find solutions. But the problems that you face, most probably 99% are very common. There are very known solutions, but you are wasting your time, your precious time that you can invest into building your startups. So if you are connected with like-minded and able people, they will come and help you. So when we by working with the ICTA for last couple of years, what we have identified is instead of us reaching out to them, sometimes they reach us to they reach out to us and saying that, hey, you might have this problem, why don't you look at this? Likewise, you can get a lot of help and a lot of support by joining a regional hub. So those are the two main things that I should say why you should join a hub.
Thank you, Nalin. So to Udita, why should someone join the Sabaragamu Hub?
Yeah, adding into Nalin, so every region have their own unique challenges and opportunities, and having representing in that region, every startup individual we're going to face the same kind of problem. So that is unique to that whatever the region that we are representing from. So having one sort of group of network of people joining into this kind of a hub will make that lot of problems go away. So we can have like a representative body to speak to ICTA or other government bodies or other even private organizations. Even earlier session mentioned about representing to banks and representing to that, like that will be a really good way of communicating our problems and getting more support, because as Nalin mentioned and others mentioned, like all are like doing on their own within that their own kind of a level. So having a representative kind of a hub make it really good to represent them, and they also a part of a network that can represent locally and nationally as well.
Also, before you pass to Dhammika, have you already got that support being 4 months down the line after you initiated?
Yeah, I think I can agree on to like most of the aspiring goals that most our colleague startup hubs have. For example, in terms of the local connectedness, and once we have that community, the amount that we can raise into. For example, one of the major problem we've been having was the actual physical location or infrastructure. Individually, as a startup owner, this is something it's really hard for you to raise to government to upper levels. But as a startup community, now we are having a proper discussion with ICTA and up to a G level, which we managed to grow that only because we are having this community, all the startup up together. And even in the support system side of things, the point that some colleague mentioned, some of the other people who are outside the community, they notice our presence. And the moment they notice our presence, there's a lot of support system comes around. For example, one of the recent workshop series that we did with the Lean Startup Canvas, which we supported 7 startup up with like one-on-one mentoring. the resource persons and all the support came only after seeing some of the events that we do and that community around us. So with that, I think like a lot of things can be supported. And the other aspect, as Tamasha initially mentioned, some of the programs that ICTA get in the pioneer and doing other programs. For example, the EU SLIP program, one of the startup community partners now engaging with their going to the European market. Likewise, we get a lot of these supports. For example, the Vadvani Foundation, there are 2 startups who's working closely with Vadvani Foundation. And all this support we can actually get the moment we have that community strength, because that is much bigger voice than an individual startup owner raising their voice. So I think that's one of the main reason why all people, not only people who are already having a startup, even if you are thinking of starting a startup or if you are interested in, then this is the main reason why you should join.
Thank you, Damika. Just to go back to Udita, I earlier asked the question, since it's been 4 months since you initiated, have you already got that support from any stakeholders for your startup hub?
Yeah, so we got a lot of support from ICTA and other national partners as well. So we have like one of our startup selected to STEP program, also Padhani Foundation programs as well. So there's like a really good kind of attraction from the members as well. They are really interested, and like now like a lot of startups want to get into the membership, and also the startups who are already formed that they want to also get some mentoring supports, things like that, to further enhance their product and to get more opportunities within the startup hub.
Thank you. One question to Tamasha. From a ICTA point of view, is there a benefit for a startup working through a hub opposed to directly working with ICTA? Is there a benefit for the startup being part of that hub?
Of course, Sachin. When we were forming these hubs, one of the things that we had in mind was that these should be the liaison officers which are established in the regions, which will be directly very closely working with ICTA to take all the programs we run in the startup ecosystem development unit to the region. So with that thought, yes, it is a great initiative that if the regional startup hubs can directly liaise with the students, because we get number of engagements. So many of the entrepreneurs in the regions might not have the feasibility of directly reaching out to us, maybe come physically and get mentored, ask anything they which they don't know, and get connected to the startup ecosystem in the Western province. So the region hub will be the liaison office for the regions to take that message forward, and directly liaising with the startup hubs will be a green channel to ICT and all the startup ecosystem around the country, not only the ecosystem around the hub, but again through ICT it will open up the channel to the entire ecosystem of the startup ecosystem of the country.
Thank you, Tamasha. So to close off, in terms of startup genome and the assessment report, which Nalin kind of linked to or alluded to, may I ask some of the mature hubs, starting from UWA, what could we expect from the hub to increase startup output and startup quality, which are one of the main 2 areas that Startup Genome also has recommended for Sri Lanka in looking at developing? What are the future plans from the UWA Startup Hub to increase startup output and startup quality?
One of the main focus that we have from our side is to strengthening the mentoring program that we have, because what we found is especially from the not only from the university students, even the people who are experienced, sometimes then they jump into start a startup, they face a lot of issues, sometimes with the talent side of things, and sometimes it can be they go through a similar problem some of the other startup founders have gone through, but they don't have the proper understanding. So the mentoring program is something that we are really going to focus in the next year. And with that, like our hope is like to at least expand that to about 20 startups to start off with. And with that, what we expect is to build that talent pipeline also in part, because some of the, like for the moment, 2 startups in the UWA startup are already leveraging that. by running their own programs, from art graduates to converting them to 3D artists and things like that. Because that again is another aspect that we need to utilize to create the local talent, which even the genome report identified. And the other aspect, to create the internal connections around the ecosystem holders. That's why we were really getting the really good support from ICTA and all other stakeholders to do the part that we can't do, because we can't actually sometimes support with certain financial aspects. That's why we have programs like Spiralation, Land, Angel Funds likewise. So being a startup hub and having that presence, what we do is we connect them with related stakeholders so that they can actually focus on the next aspect as they grow. So those are the like two major aspects I think I want to highlight.
Thank you, Damik. Same question to Udita and then to Nalin.
Yeah, in terms of growth, we are think the quality of the startup, so the product that we are doing, so need to be really good, like because we are competing in a global landscape. So a lot of sometimes students come up with a similar concept like with other products. So what the products they are offering, like whether they can compete with the international scale. So those are like through the mentoring and other market access and other kind of acceleration programs, giving a really good understanding about their products. So because they are looking at only one perspective, maybe the technical side of things, but they need to look at like other strengths, like other kind of business market fit and things like that to how to further navigate and things like that. So making the good quality product will give more access to the ICTA programs like Spiralation program. They can apply to these the programs, and also the other incubation and other supports that make really good when they are going into international market. So I think having like a really good quality products coming out of this startup will be really good to increase the number and also the quality of the startups.
Thank you, Nalin.
Yeah, when it comes to the question, I see there are two parts to that question. The first part is the startup output. So where we have identified is we need to nurture the ideation stage and build up from there, that process onwards. Because one of the things that same startup report has identified is like lack of global focusness. Mostly what Sri Lankan startups do is like you focus on local problem and you solve it, and then you think about scaling it, which is at that point you have invested so much of time, so much of money, and sometimes you can't do it. It's not viable even though how much you love your own product. So from the university stage, high level stage, high educational stage, we want to groom that thinking where you focus on global problems and try to solve it and try to experiment it locally. For example, if you take a diabetic related product, it's a global issue, but you can easily test it out in any part of the country. But if you take some very unique problem which prevails in Thailand rural village, and only they have that problem, you have a problem, right? Even though you have a nice product which will solve that thing. So we need to for the startup output, we need to think plan that aspect and have that programs. And the second part of the questions, the quality of the existing startups, that's where we have the support of ICTA run incubators and other industry partners and other players who are coming in and joining with us. Trace project, maybe other industry partner, John Keels, they will we plan to actually work with them to have a better support system so that existing startups will get the maximum benefit out of them.
Okay, thank you. So for the last round, what a lot of people are eagerly looking for is how to join the startup hubs. If they're from that province, what is the eligibility? Should they be part of the province? So can we do just one round encouraging those to join and giving instructions to those who are asking on the chat thread on how to join, starting from Lakmini, and then just do one round.
So if you are to join the Viable Startup Hub, the first thing you should do is you should check on the website. So there will be information on connecting where you can register and submit your information. And also please be love to welcome the innovators, the investors, students, and the freelancers all together so that we can build a ecosystem to help and network everyone. So anyone who is interested can join us. So we are looking forward to help and get together to solve the common issues that we are making, and also to achieve our common goals that initially to make revenue, the foreign revenue into the country. Thank you.
As Lakmani correctly said, we also would like to invite all the startups, students, higher education students, school students, innovators, and freelancers to visit this, www.centralstartuphub.com and fill up the form there and get registered with us. And if you have any queries, you can always email us info@centralstartuphub.com. And also please make sure that you follow our social media pages, LinkedIn pages, so that you can keep in touch with us and get the latest updates from us.
From our side also, one first go-to place should be the website, which is startuphub.com. And then from there onwards, like we do work on multiple avenues from our social media channels, from Facebook to Facebook group that we have. And whenever a person is onboarded, we are adding them also to an email group so that we can circulate certain messages that we get from all other stakeholders. And to get all these benefits, that's why we need certain information from you. And as now Startup Hub is a limited guarantee company, we are also working on certain membership tiers for both partner companies as well as certain individuals, and also for freelancers, because those are the three main aspects that we've identified. So all these aspects to join, the first place that you need to go to is startuphub.com website.
Tamika, before you pass, the question is, one question there is, do you have to be part of the province to be part of the hub?
Not exactly. I mean, since Startup Hub has started about 5 years back, we have a lot of other stakeholders from all these partner hubs. However, what we do recommend is, yes, you can start with any hub, but if you want to get the best out of the physical presence that you are having, then do join with your local startup hub as well. But from all our stakeholders, I mean, we closely have worked with all these stakeholders whenever they are starting up. So what we can do is get connected with one if you are having trouble figuring out where exactly to connect. And then from our website also, we can do that mapping or connection.
Okay, thank you for that. Just to clarify any doubts that you have. Yes, please proceed.
To get registered with Ruhunu Startup Hub, first you need to go to our website ruhunu.org, and you can fill the registration form, and our hub representative will call you. And we would like to welcome not only the tech entrepreneurs and startup hub owners, but also each and every startup owners and everyone, because we believe technology is not only a system, but a supporting industry which enabling the world to do excellent.
Thank you.
To join Sabaragamu Startup Hub, you can again visit our website, which is sabaragamustartuphub.com. Also, we are active in social media, so you can in Facebook you can search Sabaragamu Startup Hub and go to our Facebook page. So we have both the Facebook page and a Facebook group, and also we have a YouTube channel as well. In the website, there's an application form where we can apply with your information. So we are looking for students, freelancers, startups. So anyone just interested to know more details about the Sabaragamu Startup Hub, and we're looking forward to connecting with you.
I hope you have noted that. And finally, Tamasha, how can someone, just to repeat, how can someone get connected to ICTA and reach out to get support from ICTA?
Yeah, you can write to startups at icta.lk if it's general, or else if you're trying to find a help to escalate your idea or get support from the ecosystem. If you are an idea holder, you can write to 10,000 ideas at icta.lk.
Hope you wrote that down. Thank you. And we come to the end of this session. Thank you, panelists, for being here. Some of them have traveled many hours to be here and network with the group here and collaborate and be part of this session. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tamasha, for the presentation as well. Thank you to the audience who have gathered online and also physically present here. And so we'll wrap up this session and wish you all a pleasant evening. Thank you very much.